So the first thing is I want to ask you: is there anything special you think I should know about the movies before 1980ish?
Yeah, they were much more movies before 1980 were they went through a period in the 1950s, 60s, and maybe 70s where there were a lot of epics, DeMille's, just big epic films, Ben-Hur, Ten Commandments. They were, big themes, biblical, a lot of them, and they were big productions, big budget films for that time. So that was one of them. The other thing is that there was a lot of movies that were period pieces in the 60s, 70s?
Anything before the 80s.
Okay, before 80s.
Yeah.
Well, the earliest I can remember when I was a little kid, I watched some 30s, 40s, and 50s movies. And they'd have a lot about gangsters. They had a lot of, the acting was a lower level than it is today, I think. Some of the production was pretty good though, and the writing was really good. And the directing was good too. But in the old gangster movies, the actors would have kind of a canned way of talking all the time. They go, yeah, you gotta get the dame. The dame's the one with us. So yeah, about 4:30, we'll see him over there. That's a wise guy. And they'd all talk like that.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of funny. But the Ten Commandments and some of those that came out in the late 50s, early 60s, Ben-Hur I think was early 60s, still are seen as kind of epics.
Okay.
So I'd say that was kind of it. There wasn't any computerized stuff. There wasn't action films were not as big back then. It was more of a, I guess they call it an epic film like Ben-Hur, an action movie, although compared to today's with car chases and computerized enhancement, they would pale in comparison.
Yeah. It's interesting. So that question was, is there anything special about movies before 1980? This question is, how did film going differ then compared to now for you?
Film going?
Yeah.
You mean going to the movies?
Going to the movies.
Oh yeah, way different because there wasn't any streaming. There was no video. We didn't have the internet back then. This is life before the internet. There were dinosaurs roaming the earth. But anyway, going to the movies was a big deal. And one of the things that people your age don't have any idea of was there were drive-ins when I was in high school. That was a big deal to go to the drive-in because once you had your driver's license, you could take a carload full of kids or a girl, and now you had privacy and you could drink beer and make out with girls and everything and all all in your car. So going to the drive-in was the excuse to do what you really wanted to do, and the movie was secondary. But as far as just going to the theater, it was a big deal. We'd throughout the winter in Oregon when I was a kid, you always talked with girls, guys, everything. Are you going to the movies? So it was a big deal to go to the movies because you didn't stay at home.
Yeah. Yeah. So the next question kind of adds on to that. What role did movies play when you were younger? Was it more an escape or social activity or something else?
It was, for the most part, it was a social activity when I was in my teens, but it was also when there were really good movies. I wouldn't really call it an escape. It was more, excitement, and good movies were great. I still remember movies for every period of my life.
Yeah.
But it was through junior high, high school, and even college. It was social. It was kind of, a bunch of us would go to the movies and hopefully see a good one, but then you'd do something afterwards too. So it was kind of starting the evening and.
Okay. So the next question is, did any particular movie stand out in your memory?
Yeah, a ton of them. I remember I liked Alfred Hitchcock movies even when I was really young. I just could see that he was a better director than most of his peers. So I liked Alfred Hitchcock a lot. I saw The Birds, excuse me, when I was younger. Really liked that. Marnie, just all of them.
Is The Birds the one where there's a bunch of birds going to the children's playground?
Yes.
Okay, I saw that one too.
Yeah, that's a classic.
Yeah.
Tippi Hedren was the female star in it. I forget the guy's name, but I have his face in my head. But anyway, so that's a classic.
Yeah.
I also saw The Man Who Knew Too Much.
Okay.
And that was a pretty early Alfred Hitchcock movie, and I was pretty young, and I'll never forget they're running through a marketplace in Morocco, in Africa, and he's wearing a white robe, long robe, I don't know what they're called.
Yeah.
But he gets stabbed, and then the red blood's, when they find out he's stabbed, is red blood, and he was like an agent.
Yeah.
And it's a mystery. And
Yeah.
so I always remember that one. I remember Ben-Hur. That was a big movie that was pretty cool. Cleopatra. When that came out, that had an intermission. That's the first movie I ever went to that had an intermission. And I saw it at the Paramount Theater in Portland, Oregon, and that was the nicest theater in all of Oregon. And they had, the restrooms had marbles. It was a big deal.
Yeah.
And I can go through every period. When I was a senior in high school, I think it was, I saw The Graduate, and that was the music, Simon and Garfunkel, The Sound of Silence, one of their most famous songs, and Dustin Hoffman's Kickoff movie that started his career. And it was, he made $25,000 for doing that movie. That's a classic movie.
Yeah.
And as an actor, he only made $25,000, and he was the star of the movie. So there, and then, then throughout my life, there's a lot of movies.
Yeah. Yes. To add on to that, where were the movie theaters? What were the movie theaters that you attended most of the time, and where were these located? Was it city, downtown, or neighborhood?
Well, I grew up in a small town in Oregon, so we had one theater. So that's where I went. And the neighboring town you had to drive to, it had one theater.
Okay.
And then when I was fishing in my early 20s, when I was up in Kodiak, Alaska, they had one theater. So I remember we wouldn't even ask what the movie was. If we decided we were tired of drinking, we'd say, I'm tired of drinking, let's go to the movies. So we just go stand, and one time we went to the movie and there was a line, and we stand in line, we didn't know what the movie was, and we're in line, finally we noticed we were the tallest people in line. There's a lot of kids.
Yeah.
So we asked people, what's the movie? And they go, Bambi. And we go, oh. So we left and went drinking.
Yes, to add on to that, how did you usually hear about new movies? Was it through trailers, posters, word of mouth, or something else?
It would usually, in my hometown, we'd drive through town all the time, so we'd see the marquee.
Okay.
So that's how we normally knew what was showing. And so it was something that was interesting. Me and all my friends would say, let's go to the movies. There wasn't a lot of advertising. Well, we didn't, and the newspaper would have the movies showing.
Okay.
Well, now there's no newspapers,
and
everything is on TV for the ads. But they didn't have a lot of TV ads for movies back then. They weren't advertising, go see this, it's coming out on Thursday.
Yeah.
That started picking up momentum each decade.
Okay.
Until now, the advertising is huge.
Yeah.
They'll have huge budgets to advertise movies.
Yeah. To add on to that, last 3 or 4 questions, or 2 or 3. How did the advent of color films, widescreen formats, and sound systems like Dolby impact your movie-going experience?
Well, it made it better. Each thing was pretty impressive. You're too young to know this, but Bill might too. But when we first got television in our hometown, it was only on for 2 hours a night for the first several weeks. And then it was black and white. everybody had a black and white TV.
Yeah.
And then I mowed lawns when I was about 10 or 11 years old. And one of my clients was TV McGee, but his name was Mr. McGee. But he had the television shop in town, and he had a color television set. So I was about 11, so that was 1961. And I remember mowing his lawn, and I kept, even though I'd already cut the grass next to his front window, I kept going by and going real slow and looking at the color TV because I'd never seen a color TV before.
Yeah.
So you only saw color at the theaters.
Yeah.
They still had some black and white movies, but mostly by the time I was a kid, they were showing color.
Okay.
It was called cinematography or something like that, or Cinemax or something like that.
Oh,
but,
yeah, Cinemax.
Yeah, so. But it was impactful. You went to the movies and you saw color.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah. Was there any significant cultural or historical event you remember being reflected in the movies you watched?
Oh yeah, they had the Vietnam War was going on, and some of the impacted ones were MASH, the movie MASH, the movie which actually wasn't that great of a movie, but Easy Rider. Easy Rider was a breakthrough movie because it culturally hit a time when people were in tune with being more liberal, accepting people with longer hair, hippies, smoking pot. All that stuff was very popular with the age group that I was in. And so that was a big hit movie that if you look at it now, it seems very mild-mannered and not that good of a movie. But it was at the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
Another one was Animal House. Was for our time when we were younger. It was filmed at University of Oregon where I went to school. And so we thought that was cool. But it also was Saturday Night Live was new, kind of within the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And John Belushi and some of the Saturday Night Live guys were in that movie, and it was a huge hit. And then, so it was kind of for our age group. Other ones that would have made a big cultural hit, I can't think of them right now. But
yeah. I think that's it. Maybe there's one more question. I think that's it. Just one last, my own thing is we had in our class we watched Jaws on the format, and I watched it for the first time, and I was wondering if you've seen Jaws, right?
Oh yeah.
Did you watch it in the movie theater?
Oh yeah, we watched it in the movie theater, and everybody was scared. I wasn't, because I'd done a lot of surfing, and I saw the sharks were kind of fakey and everything, and I always remembered even back then, one scene in the same scene, they would show, and in the background, the one of the actors, Richard, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Anyway, they'd show him, and in the background, the supposed ocean would be all kind of flat and calm.
Yeah.
And then they would show the other actor talking, and then they'd go back to him, and in the background, the ocean's got waves and wind. So they didn't pay attention to the director didn't make it very correct, But so, and I remember, because I was a fisherman back then, so I looked at that and I go, that's a bunch of crap, But overall, it was Spielberg, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously he did a great job. It's a huge hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of people didn't want to go out in the ocean after that.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
That's it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks.
Thank you for your time.